Okay, guys, welcome. If you're back, oh, hi, Peter. Could you just tell me if this sound is any better? Does it sound any better or not? Yes, no? One, two, three, four. A bit better, a little better. Coming through loud and clear. That's strange. I don't really understand what happened there, guys. So, welcome. Good morning. I have this on. I'm trying to keep it on as much as I can. So, yeah, of course it's uncomfortable, but it's nothing like it was pain-wise. The pain's gone down to zero just about, just more uncomfortable. So you can all hear me, right? The sound is working, yeah? That's really good. That's not the best. This is a brand new microphone. Like never have I had this issue before. Is this any better, or should we give it a miss today? That's strange. It was fine on the Richie Allen radio show. I haven't actually touched the computer. I haven't done anything to my knowledge that has caused it, apart from just going on the Skype. I sometimes, some people tell me that when you've gone from one like Skype to Zoom, if the Skype's still on, you're not going to be able to get the connection on your Zoom. So you have to turn off Skype. Well, Skype's off now. Some people are saying you hear me a little, and some people are saying you're not hearing me, which means that we need to stop because there's no point in me talking if this isn't loud enough. It's just a waste of energy because people will complain. So I don't know why that's happened, but I wish you all a lovely day. And maybe the reason why is because I shouldn't be speaking to you. That's probably the end result of the conversation. Um, but I am wishing you all a lovely day today. Take care of yourselves, and thank you for being here. Um, check the plug. Yeah, I unplug that. Sorry, guys. Loose connection. I don't know. I don't know what to say. normally work that. Is this any better or any worse? Is this any better or any worse? I've just changed it to another one. Can you hear me now? Yes or no? Better or worse? So I've actually turned it to the internal microphone on the computer. Does that make any difference? Can you hear me from the microphone on the computer? Is that any better? Oh, look, much better. Okay, so microphone looks like needs to go for repair. Okay, welcome everybody. That's great news. So we're working off here. Boca has just brought me my celery juice. I have about three of those a day. Every bit of food that I'm eating is to stimulate bones. Of course, celery juice. If you snap a celery stick, it sounds like a bone snapping. These are the signatures of health and well-being. So when you look at a fruit, it can normally tell you color, texture, what the signs are inside. If you cut a fruit in half or a vegetable, look at the fruit and say, I wonder what that's good for in the body. It doesn't take a rocket science to figure that out. So I'm very lucky at the moment. Boca is a lovely soul who's come to look after me for a few days. She's staying locally, and she comes in the morning and she makes breakfast and my dinner, and then she goes home. So I'm really lucky to have somebody here. My family are all too busy, my children are working and trying to make a living. And reality check, guys, it's a reality check to, when you hurt yourself, how vulnerable you can be in life. And I guess there is something in that where we understand and we appreciate. That's why I came to Spain, because I love the family oriented energy, the connection of family. And I guess that's why I like Bali, because Bali is such a beautiful community within community. So family within community within community. So basically, you've got your home. So you live here. Then next to you lives your sister, or then next to your sister lives your brother, and then your aunties and uncles and grandmas and granddads, and you live in like a community. So all the family look after each other, and then in that community, there's another community out of it where everybody supports everybody else. I absolutely love that. A lot of people diagnose me and they kind of cut me open and they dissect me, and they think they understand me, but they don't understand me at all, because I'm a contradiction in term. To understand me is like I don't even understand myself. So although the Buddha sat under a tree for 20 years on his own, Jesus went off on his own but yet had disciples. My teaching or my guidance, what I share with people with regards to finding who you are and why you're here, is normally when you're on your own, not in a group. That's my opinion. That's why when I say Jesus and his disciples, that's more about sharing truth with people. But when you really want to know who you are and why you're here,
And I think that's an ongoing thing. It's not something that, oh, I know who I am now. Oh, I know why I'm here. I don't believe that neither. And I don't believe that there is black and white. There are many shades of beautiful colors in this world, and we're all different and we're all unique. And we all have times where we are awake, where we're asleep. And in this world, there is good, there is evil. There is no doubt about that. And there is multiple different kinds of universes and dimensions and frequencies and energies within worlds within worlds. So the Bible relates to one concept. Why? I'm sorry, but I don't buy into one concept, because who wrote the Bible? Jesus, God. Who wrote the Bible? That's one person's understanding. It's like me giving you one of my books and saying, look, read that, this is it. No, it's not. It's just my interpretation of my experience through my client. But you imagine 5 people sat here watching a healing session being done behind me on a client who, let's say, has got cancer, and after 4 months, that person's cancers disappeared, which often happened. What each one of those, say, 6 people who were giving the healing session throughout that healing session of those 6 months of that client, if you ask them to write a book about that experience, I guarantee you that every single person who wrote that their experience would be different. There will be definitely patterns for sure, but each individual would have their own experience. Therefore, every religion has their own experience. So you can't say this is the real, the right, or the Quran is the right one, or whatever book of Mormon, book of Judaism, and in Bali, where it's half Muslim, and all the other religions, your Buddhists, and like. You choose your reality, what feels right to you. You choose your path, what feels right to you. You make a decision whether it's difficult or whether it's easy. I could have easily walked away from this accident where whatever it was, a fox tried to kill my doggy. I could have easily chosen to step back and let that happen. I could have easily just stayed at the top and not chased it, and ended up with perfect legs easily. I could have made that conscious decision. I could have stopped and not do it, but I followed my intuition, my heart, my gut feeling. I followed my mind. I followed that. There's so many things that you can follow. So half of the people look at me and say, well, you're not much of a psychic if you didn't see that, which, is quite a cruel thing. Half people say, well, I thought you were intuitive and I thought you understood these things. No, that's not what I teach. That's not who I am. I like you, have knee-jerk reactions. I have fears. I have worries. And within me, within the spacesuit, there is a form of protection, a form of taking care. Just like within women, there's a form of taking care of the man, the child, and in the man, there's a form of protecting the woman and the child. We've all got our, whether you believe it's DNA or whether it's the upbringing of society teaching us that you're the male, you have to fix everything. I don't know, but all I know is that we're here to experience life. And if you just sit down all day long and do nothing, then that to me is a waste of life. Now, you could easily say, and so could I, that isn't a waste of life, because maybe the Buddha sat down for 18 years for that very reason. Sit down in peace and silence and learn to observe the world. So everything that I say can be misread, misinterpreted, but more so, this is the key to everything. It's not really misread. It's not really misinterpreted. It's just not your conversation. So each of us has our own conversation, and each of us points fingers at somebody else because we are not happy with the conversation we hear. And only until Mark agrees with what my conversation is, will make Mark right. And thus we end up with a mad world, a society which is crazy, and that we're all fighting for our truth, which is the reason why we are where we are. We're in a mess. We're fighting. We're disagreeing. We're arguing. We're causing the most greatest negative energy in our life. And it is true. It's in our life. You know, if I upset you today, was I to blame, or was you to blame, or were we both to blame? It's a very, you know, profound question I used to ask, because why is it that I was drawn to Matt to begin with? Because if everything is as it should be, is where I am, where I should be, why should I be hurt by Matt? Why can't I listen to nice things and good things? Why did I fall and break my leg? And there's so many questions we ask normally when things aren't going well. When things are going okay and everything's all right, we never question that. We never even look. But when we hurt ourselves, or when we're in a deep, painful situation with life and with experiences and with conflict, then all of a sudden we question ourselves. And a lot of that is through ego, self-pity, and you know, just weakness in general. And we all go through it. We all feel it. So we have to learn to discern, and none of us discern 100%. We only discern maybe 10%. The rest of it, we are just pure programmed robots in this spacesuit, which we've been given by a very clever system that's created us to be the way we are. So we don't fight back. We don't argue with the system. We don't question why. We don't, I think most of us actually make mistakes every day, and it's hard to see those mistakes. So like everybody else can see them, but we never see our own. And as a healer and a reader, especially as a reader for people's futures, I can't read myself. It's too close. So I need somebody else to read for me, because like, oh, I never saw that, because it's so close. I don't see what I'm doing wrong. So sometimes it's nice to have outside, you know, observation looking in. And I do appreciate it, but I appreciate it with love, not with judgment, not with finger pointing, not with a way of belittling or ego, or just somebody who's trying to pull you down. So, you know, sometimes it's better not saying anything, I think, these days, than, you know, pointing things out, unless you're pretty much is it a cunnilinguist? You're very good with your words, and you're very careful of how you say things. And I used to be pretty good at doing psychic readings and hitting the point without hurting, without causing damage or you know, pulling a nerve. So that was great. So Ole sent me a video this morning, and I started to watch it, because I'll, of course, I'm going to watch it because he sent it me. So I'm going to give you
this is what happens when you exit the matrix. Pay close attention. The end. I truly love all creation. I have to even.
If you want to just have a look at it.
And those who are broken are prejudiced.
Clinically dead, 45 minutes. Meets God. Interesting video. I watched it up till 40 minutes, and then I started realizing that yeah, this guy is definitely had an experience, without a doubt. I could feel it. And the way he started explaining things is exactly the way that I felt with my clients who used to wake up from their experiences over 20 years. My experiences in the meditation while giving healing and meditating on my own, and having these profound moments of connection with whatever you want to call it. I don't call it God. I call it the source, that I call it the ocean. And we're all part of that drop of ocean. So the guy was, within the first 30 minutes of the conversation, was very authentic, very genuine, without a doubt. Then came the God bit, and then came the finger pointing, 3 fingers, and like, okay, now this guy has, you know, embraced his experience. He's embraced consciousness, he's embraced spirit, and spirit was giving him, showing him signs. If you've ever heard of me tell you this, it's been said to me, and I've seen it many times myself, and that is, I asked what happens when we move into the light, and what I was given was like, you've heard me say, if you know who I am, and it's photos. It's like photos of everything that you've been through, like all the bad things, all the good things, and you see them all. And that's when you become like, why did I see them? Because you're the one to judge yourself. I don't think he's even mentioned that, but he did mention something about, you know, seeing all the good things and the bad things in his life. But all of that is very normal in my world and what I've learned from spirit and how they come forward. But my experience is going to be different from his. But we all have our interpretations. But when we start regurgitating other people's informations, that's when you can say, okay, he's wrote a book. He wants to sell this book. He needs to fill the pages in. Does he know all the answers? Yes, he does. Well, that's not how spirit works. Spirit doesn't give you all the answers, because you've got to find them answers for yourself. And surely enough, he's obviously gone and listened to lots of people talking. I'm not saying me, but I'm sure he's listened to a lot of people and taken the bits that fit into place for his book to be what it is. And I noticed that in his conversations, there is a lot of similarities to what people have said in the past, that to me doesn't resonate in the way that it should resonate. So the first 30 minutes was very true. I could feel it. And then it went on to, okay, now I'm writing a book, so I need you to all to listen to all of my, the common one is God gave me 10 commandments. Like, so he's now got his 10 commandments. It's like, no, God doesn't give us commandments. God doesn't tell us what we do. This comes from, in my opinion, a kind of feeling that what feels right, and this is what we should do, and that's a universal energy. Anybody can pull that energy out. Did God give it you directly? No, it's there in the ether. So when I relate to you, you've never heard me say, oh, I got this information and this is what you should do, and this is what my book. No, these are the things that I've tried. These are the things that I've felt may work. I've never told you specifically to do any of these things. Whether they're good or not so good doesn't make any difference, because to me, the consciousness, the worldly consciousness, that beautiful ocean, his words are a contradiction, because what he's basically said is, you come in this world to learn, right? But you need these 10 commandments. These are the things that you need to know. Well, no, you come into this world, okay? And I've told you all before, you come into this world with a clean slate. So you come in and you choose the body or the animal or the tree or the plant or the whatever. And you might choose to come into the body as a baby for 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, regardless whether it was terminated or they lost it natural. These are just the choices that we make. And I believe wholeheartedly as well that we don't just choose to come here. There are many other places we can go to. And if you think that this is just it, I would say that I wholeheartedly believe that there are many, many other places in this world. And the reason why I say that, and my main argument to that, is because of a green crystal, and it's called MOLDAVITE. And I started working with this piece of MOLDAVITE 22 years ago, and I was watching my clients, listening to their experiences. I was listening to them speak a different language. I was meditating with it, and I was seeing beings that were floating. And my clients would get up and say, it's really weird. I had this dream that I was floating and the people around me were floating. And I was saying, did you see any colors? Yeah. Please describe them. I can't. I'm going, yeah. And I'm like, me too. I got the same feeling. So I wrote all of this down, and I came to the understanding that this green crystal was once, I could be completely wrong, still might be there, but it was complete. It was once complete. It was a place where people lived with high energy and frequency, and something happened to the planet. Doesn't mean that the spirits themselves die. Nobody dies. It's just a rock. It's just energy that disperses no longer. And what I felt in that piece of glass is a memory. So the fact that I work with crystals and put my memory into them via the universe. So I want to heal somebody's leg. Like right now, I'm wearing this particular crystal that I feel is fantastic for bone. I've got sunstone over there because I've put good energy into this to heal bone. And I realized that, sunstone and this crystal here, and many others have this great capacity of energy that fixes, that heals. So MOLDAVITE is one that opens you up to see things more. It opens you up to see things that are not of this world. So my understanding of life is that there are many places we can choose to go to. Okay, it's our free will to choose where we go. And there's always going to be a challenge in life. There's always going to be things that we go through. And like I said, at the moment that we leave this body is the moment that we see everything that we've done. And, there isn't a God who judges, because in the space and the energy of that frequency we call our home world is pure love. Well, the contradiction in term is, how can God love you and judge you at the same time? He can't. But maybe what could be considered is this. Maybe that where you and me come from, who vibrate at the same frequency, who don't want to cause harm, who just want to help and love, maybe we are different from the source that we come from. Occam's razor is always something that I heard, is that you look at all probability and the most simplest one is normally the most correct. And I believe that we do not all come from the same source. I believe that there are many different sources and some not so good. And those some not so good sources that you and I feel are not so good, to them, they don't see it as not so good. So what you consider evil, they consider normal. Okay? So what that means is that they have to feed from bad energy, okay? Because that's their life force. We feed from good energy. So of course they're going to cause more devastation and bad energy and cause more fear because they feed from it. And if you ever see this at school, there's a bully who will cause pain and suffering and feed from it. And you will cry and you will not understand why that bully did what he did. Now, I'm not saying every bully comes from a different place. I'm just giving that there may be alternative thoughts and views that you might never have heard of. Because I don't believe that my consciousness came from the same place as Bill Gates. I don't. I believe he's a different consciousness. And he's come from a different plane, a different frequency, a different energy. So that's how I see it. How have I come to terms with that? Because I've learned through clients, I've learned through understanding people, I've learned through healing people that we're not all the same. And we keep trying to go back to this idea that, we all come from God. Well, where does that come from? I've never heard that in the spirit world. I've never heard that when I connect with the spirit world here. I've never heard spirit world say to me, there is a God and you will be judged at the moment when you die. So the only judge is you. And what do you judge? You judge what you've done, your experience. And some things that you would consider bad is nothing compared to these other entities. That's like child's play to them. That's not even worth mentioning. So like I said, I think we're not open enough because we have been temporarily closed by religion. And religion is the biggest killer of spiritual awareness, of growth, and really and truly understanding why we are here and what our path is about. So have you any questions? Is this making any sense, or is this pissing you off big style? If it is, I wholeheartedly apologize. But I think if it's really upset you, then maybe you're one step closer to maybe thinking about it. Yeah, because what was that guy who said first? I can never remember it. Gandhi said something, but it's like at the very end, you know, you go through all of these emotions. You know, you laugh, you mock, you ridicule, you get angry. And it's not, I don't think he meant you win. That's bullshit. That's ego. It means that at the very last thing, then you become more open to allowing this new thought or this new feeling into your life. And eventually you'll actually support that feeling. And then you'll never look back and say, oh, I never believed that. Anyway, I always believed this, when actually that's not true. You know, you fought with me because you didn't believe it. But that, I think, is some kind of process that's been deliberately done. Because if everything was that easy to believe, I'm talking about for the light workers, in the sense of the warriors and the ones who are wanting to grow through this dark times and the awakening, because sheep will just believe anything that they're given. So I'm talking about you guys, the few that I'm on about. Is it MPLs they call them? Like, you know, just people just walking around and they don't really know why they're here, what they're doing. They just know that they need to eat, drink, and sleep and follow orders. People have asked me, are they actually real? Do they exist? And I think to a degree, people try to put people into boxes because it's easier. And I struggle with that. I really struggle with that, because I have had friends who were those kind of people, and never really saw anything in life. And then they had a traumatic experience in their life, and something changed, and they became the whole different being. Now, some people believe that we can be taken over, spiritually speaking, as well. So whoever was in that body has now been taken over and the other person's gone. Do you believe that, Mark? Up to this moment, I have never experienced that on any of my clients. However, I have seen dramatic changes when something life-changing happens, where a near-death experience, somebody died in their family, they had a bad accident, and so on. Somebody left them who they loved, and then something just switched, something changed within them. So, yeah, NPCs. Thanks, Brendan. Yeah. So do I believe in them? I don't believe in the word NPC, but I do believe that there are people that are so dumbed down by everything that has been forced upon them from childhood till now, that there is a total disconnect, you know, through vaccines, through poisons and everything, that they're so dumbed down that, and again, not just through what they put in the mouth, but what they watch. So the bread and circuses of television and the programming of schools that is deliberately there to suppress the consciousness. So the consciousness does not work, only the brain. And thus you become an automaton for the cog, the wheel that constantly grinds away at our children. Hey, teacher, leave those kids alone. Dun, 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 dun. All right, just chat amongst yourself. Because I'm drinking so much, we'll have round 2 in a minute. But Mark has to hop along and just go to the toilet. Thank you for waiting, guys. So my observation as well as a healer, and after I'd given a healing session to people who died and came back to life, there were many. Of course, there are going to be many, right? It's inevitable. I was going to get literally tens of, at minimum 10 to 20 a year. Why? Well, when you've been through a near-death experience, the first thing that you look for is people with higher intuition, in the sense of those that are not educated, but those that are spiritually working in that field of work. So they come searching for not just answers. They've already got their answers, but they come for confirmation. Is this crazy? Was it real? All of these things. And like for me, this is one of my observations, okay? I'm just telling you this as my observation. I know nobody has ever said this before. But one of the things I observe, and I spoke to, I don't even think she'll remember, my ex-wife. I said, you know, I think after, and I feel after people who talked about their near-death experience, and I'd write them down, like a handful of them, I'd say, these people came from different places. And she said, what do you mean? I says, this doesn't all connect to the same source. I can understand that there's going to be similarities, but these are all like very different experiences. So the reason why I say this is, yes, the similarities, because when you leave the body, you're going to see what's around you. When you enter the energy of your family or guides, whatever you want to call them, same thing. That's your world. You'll feel them, or you might see them, or you might hear them, or you might think, like telepathy. But over the years, I realized that this doesn't sound like they're all coming from the same source. It sounds like they're coming from individual sources in the universe. So there's more than one source. And that's what I've always believed. I've always said that. And when people say, oh, there's only one source, I joke about it because I can't take that. I can't literally take that as a yes. So I joke and I say, what sauce is that? HP tomato sauce, Worcester sauce. And I do that as a joke because it literally doesn't resonate with me. So I can now literally, and I won't do it, but I can do it. And I used to do it. I used to put them into categories. And I believe there's at least, in my understanding, at least 10 different categories of source, different source. You may say that they all come from the same place, but I would disagree. So do I believe that there is a God source? Yes, I do. I don't call it God, but I believe there's a place where you and I who love, who take care, who create, who make a difference, who just want to get on with their life and just not harm anybody. There's lots of other reasons where you feel things like if somebody falls over and you see somebody fall over, you instantly get this feeling of like you've fallen over. There's loads of little things I can tell you about that where you come from and where I come from. So I can tell you Bill Gates does not come from the same place as you and I, because his energy is, if you fall, he'll have a cheeky smile on his face. He'll have a bit of a smile. If he knows he's going to do great harm to the world, this is going to give him, it's a wet dream scenario to him. If you do harm to anybody in multiple, that's like the end of your world. It's like, what's the point living anymore? Whereas to him, it's like, this is why I'm here. So, and I could go on about this list, okay, because there's a lot more than what I'm saying. I'm just giving you a broad a version of something that if I wrote about, some people will go, freaking hell, Jesus Christ, this is starting to make some sense. And it is. I could go even more into detail of the difference between certain people and their characteristics of where they come from. But is it that important? I've thought about it over these past few weeks. It's not that important. What's important is why you are here, who you are, and what's your purpose. Everything else is irrelevant, because at the end of the day, you're not here to know who somebody else is. That's only filling in the gap. Knowledge is only filling in the gap. It's what you do to create and make a difference in this world, to use your inner divine consciousness and wisdom to make the world a better place. Because all of those things that you do is a creation of good energy. Through day to day, you'll feel bad. Through day to day, you can hurt yourself. From day to day, you'll feel happy. From day to day, you'll feel sad. From day to day, you'll feel angry. From day to day, you'll be challenged, even punched, even stabbed or anything. From day to day, these things can happen. But that's the journey that we're on. We're not here to be on holiday. We're here to strengthen, to feel, and to experience. Thus, experience, which is energy, through that experience is one vital part of your journey. That's why you've got to get up off your ass and move. That's why I believe the Buddha wasn't like you and I, because he spent most of his life sat down. So that's a different source to mine. Mine is an energy that constantly searches active movement and the need to experience and feel, the need to help and give. So, and I'm not saying that the Buddha's energy is higher or lower. We're all different. So from that understanding, it kind of blows me away, because the foot that I've broken now is now, yes, it's pain. But how did I react to that pain? How did I react to this moment? What am I doing in this moment? And again, it's those photos that come in front of you when you're moving out of this body to say, oh yeah, he went through that experience. He went through that experience. He went through that experience. And through all those experiences are energetic frequencies that move into your body and stay there as a memory. And they go into the body, and the experience that runs through the consciousness, that is always a memory in there. And this is why some people can say that they remember past lives. Some people, because there are moments that we can be so attuned that we can feel who we are sometimes. Now, it's not all about knowing who we are, but why we're here. So the knowing doesn't mean, oh, I remember me as a past life. It's knowing why I'm here and what my purpose is. So I know who I am. What do you mean? Who are you? I'm the person that needs to experience these things in life. And I need to make a difference in the life. And I need to help and create and be the best version of myself. And no matter what I go through, that experience makes me who I am. So there is a beautiful saying that when I was healing people, and the Buddha said it, which is, again, fabulous. And that's why I have him tattooed on my arm, his ear. Pain is inevitable. So I'll show you. This is one pain. Pain. That's one pain. But there's also emotional pain. So pain is inevitable. Grief, judgment, negative energy, negative thoughts. That's one thing. But the physical is another. But how do you deal with it? So it's this almost like creation that has been made for us to go into the spacesuit to experience whatever it is we're experiencing. And how do we conquer that experience in the shortest time? So how do we eliminate that experience? So some of the things that I used to say is that grief, when people say, oh, you're going to have to stop grieving. No, you can't tell people to stop grieving. Grieving is something that people want to go through, okay? Or else if they don't, that means that they're going to have a battle with their mind saying that they didn't love the person because they're not grieving over them. So you can't tell somebody to stop grieving. What you can do is change the energy, change that thought process, change the outcome of it by showing them all the love that you spent together, all the joy, all that you've learned from one another, all that you've experienced with one another. And most of all, which is the most powerful one, is that they're always with you and they're always by your side. In fact, they're closer to you now than they ever were in this world. And when you change that thought process, you take that back with you to the world that you come from, and you add to the vastness of energy, and you give that energy as another form of frequency that heightens that energy of this universe, that keeps the universe in this beautiful cosmic balance, in my opinion. So it's like feeding the soup with more nutrition, feeding it with, hey, well, let's put some pumpkin in today. I've got something new for the vegetable pot. This is, these are peas. These are freshly grown, like, and the pot just gets more and more beautiful. So the pain that you go through ultimately is the reason why we say is the greatest challenge of your life, but it's also the greatest energy that goes back to the spirit world if you've conquered it. If you've conquered it. If you haven't conquered it, then you come back again to learn from that same experience, because I want to conquer that to be able to bring it back, to know now that I've contributed around this table with all these souls who, hey, what happened to you? Oh, my mum died. How did you cope with that? Well, actually, I went through this and that, and wow, thank you. So it's a kind of constant raising of energy through experience that can only be experienced on planets like this. And there are thousands more planets like this. So we can choose to go wherever we want to go, in my humble opinion. And it's not just about a planet like this. There are other planets. Like I said, I got that from MOLDAVITE. And what I got from MOLDAVITE was, and my clients too, that the planet was a frequency, an energy, and there was no weight. It was weightless. The beings that were on there were of energetic frequency, basically like your spirit, your consciousness, but it had a form. So it would be like, okay, they look similar, which means that there is a kind of spacesuit, but it was not a spacesuit as density as this. It was a form of spacesuit. So there was consciousness in there that could connect to each other and through telepathy. They were a high energy frequency. Some people have asked me what they did on that planet. And it was a great question, because every time I used to connect to the words that were being said, I never understood the words, but I understood the feeling. And it was always, again, very similar to the consciousness that we are in this body for. And that is to not, for their world, didn't feel just experience. It didn't just feel like I'm experiencing. It felt like that planet was, the only way I could describe it really, if I was to write it down fully, would be a magnet for other worlds. And if there was planets that were new and planets that were old, and the old planets were revered as huge energy givers, that's what I would say that planet was. People have said that, did that planet, did they fight and did they die? No, the planet served its time. It was an old planet and it was ready to be rejuvenated. The souls of that planet went elsewhere. They didn't all die. Their consciousness didn't die. They just went elsewhere. But the fragments of MOLDAVITE, and sometimes if you sit and meditate, you can feel it. So my conclusions come from experience and from my clients, not from books. So that's how I see it. But that's it, guys. I thought I just want to share like an hour with you today. Obviously, I have to rest now because it takes some time to heal, and my body needs to heal, and I need to do some healing work on my foot now for the next couple of hours, and then rest. But I hope you appreciate this little chat. I'm wishing you all a lovely, lovely day. I want to say thank you for everybody who supported my website. Because I'm not doing as many videos, it's gone a bit quiet, but thank you so much for buying crystals, oils and incense. And thank you. We've had a couple of people yesterday join up for the Pure Energy Healing course in October, the 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th, and I think 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Yeah, and I'll be live and strong and interactive to be able to talk to you then. So thank you for joining up, guys. And if anybody's interested, just go to www.pehacademy.com. Have a look, see if it feels right. You might want to become a healer and learn how to heal. And also thank you for supporting Don Tolman. He got his first check this week from all the sales of the amazing oil. That's like, I can't even express myself how that oil has helped my foot thus far. I just can't express it. And my mind and my throat and my heart, just physically, it's been healing the whole of my body. So yeah, they're still on offer at the moment. So if you buy 3 bottles of Golden Relief, you get it free DHL delivery worldwide. And yeah, thank you so much for supporting Bajerski.com. We put some new crystals up this week, about 55. So I hope you enjoy them. Some gorgeous crystals. And I've got some other crystals coming up. You've probably never heard of that, or maybe you have. I'm going to put them up shortly. These are, yeah, beautiful. Really beautiful. They're kind of stones, but they are, anyway, I'll talk to you about them when I have the energy to do that. But yeah, some beautiful new crystals coming up shortly. These I'll be putting up soon. These are for healers who like big pieces of fluoride. Gorgeous fluoride. Look at the mountain on that. And of course, my favorites. Can't go without a tektite. Beautiful tektites. Beautiful tektites. I think I've got one of the biggest collection of tektites in the world now on Bajerski.com. Aren't they beautiful? They come from Vietnam and they are absolutely incredible energy. Incredible. And I just love the little balls are absolutely fabulous to work with. I'll get these up as soon as I can. But to work with these on here, just incredible. So yeah, I've got some work cut out for me. I've still got a few more mold trios to put up, which are collect finished. They've gone really, really well. Everybody's loving them. And that's it then, guys. So in and amongst working on my my beautiful healthy foot, I am also doing my best to get some crystals up, which I have done this week. Working on constantly healing myself. I'll be working with these 3 in a minute. And that's it, guys. I wish you well. I hope you're all having a lovely day. Thank you so much. Yeah, once again, thank you for going to Bajerski.com, guys. I really appreciate your support. I really do. Thank you so much. Have a most amazing day. I hope this conversation serves you in a way that it helps you expand your thoughts, feelings, awareness, and certainly to be able to sit and meditate on it and see what your guides or your heart or your consciousness comes back to you with. Your interpretation is never wrong. It's just a different version of mine. Doesn't make it wrong. It makes it your interpretation, and your interpretation is equal to anybody else's. So I wish you well, guys. Hopefully till tomorrow. Have a great afternoon. Have a great day. Have a great morning wherever you are in the world. Take care. Bye, everybody. Always like the sound of the horses going past. That's why I'm here. It's easier. It's all on one floor. It's the academy. That's why I'm not at my farm. Although I will be going back to the farm shortly to start doing the swimming pool therapy, because there's nothing better than swimming pool therapy. All right, guys. Take care. Bye for now.